tropical paradise, white sand beaches stretching for miles, crystal clear waters shimmering under the golden sun, laughter, music, the scent of coconut oil in the breeze. It was supposed to be the perfect escape, an anniversary trip to remember. Michael Thompson and Sarah Miller had it all. A thriving life in New York City, successful careers, and a love that, to the outside world, seemed unshakable. Friends described them as inseparable, a couple who finished each other's sentences. Whoever traveled often was always hand in hand. Their social media was a scrapbook of picture-perfect moments, dinners at candlelit restaurants, sunsets over the skyline, stolen kisses in exotic destinations. This time it was Jamaica, a week at one of the island's most luxurious resorts, oceanfront suites, couples massages, bottomless cocktails under the sun. They checked in with bright smiles, ready to make memories. And for 6 days, everything seemed perfect. But appearances can be deceiving. On the 7th night, something changed. Guests in neighboring rooms reported hearing raised voices, muffled at first, then sharp, urgent. Hotel security received noise complaints. Staff members knocked on their door. No one answered. Then, at exactly 11:42 p.m., a gunshot shattered the silence of the Caribbean night. By the time authorities arrived, one of them was dead. The other, standing motionless, staring down at the lifeless body on the floor. What happened in that room? Was it a crime of passion, an accident, or something far more calculated? This was no ordinary lover's quarrel, and as investigators peeled back the layers of their seemingly perfect relationship, they uncovered something no one saw coming. Before we uncover the chilling truth behind this case, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. And if you think you know what happened that night, drop your theories in the comments below. Let's get into it. Michael Thompson and Sarah Miller were the kind of couple people envied. Young, successful, and deeply in love. He was a 34-year-old investment banker, sharp, ambitious, and well-respected in his field. She was a 32-year-old freelance photographer, free-spirited, creative, and known for capturing raw emotion through her lens. Together they seemed like the perfect match. 3 years of dating. 3 years of weekend getaways, candlelit dinners, and whispered plans for the future. Friends said they completed each other. Family members spoke of wedding bells on the horizon. Sarah had even confided in her sister that she suspected a proposal was coming soon. "It's just a feeling," she had said with a smile. "Something about the way he's been acting lately. I think this is it." When Michael surprised her with tickets to Jamaica, she was convinced. An all-inclusive stay at a 5-star resort in Montego Bay. White sand beaches, private balconies overlooking the water, sunset cruises. It was the kind of trip where memories were made, where two people in love could escape from reality, if only for a little while. They arrived on a Monday afternoon, stepping off the plane into the warm, tropical air. Hand in hand, they made their way through customs, their laughter light and their smiles effortless. The resort staff welcomed them with drinks and cool towels. Their suite was immaculate, a king-sized bed, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a view that stretched endlessly toward the horizon. And for 6 days, it was paradise. Breakfasts by the water, Sarah snapping photos of the sunrise, afternoons filled with snorkeling, hiking, and exploring the local markets, evenings spent sipping wine and dancing under the moonlight. To anyone watching, they were just another couple in love, soaking in every moment. And on social media, the story was no different. A perfect vacation captured in perfect frames. But photographs only show what people want you to see. Because behind the smiling selfies and carefully curated moments, something else was happening. Something that no one, not their friends, not their family, not even the hotel staff, could have seen coming. something that would turn this dream vacation into a nightmare. And by the time the sun set on their final night in paradise, one of them would be dead. It was around midnight when the first complaint came in. Guests from nearby rooms reported hearing loud voices, angry, frantic, the raised tones of a heated argument. But in a hotel where the only sounds should have been the rustling of palm trees and the soft crash of waves against the shore, these voices stood out like a crack in the glass. It wasn't just a disagreement. It was something more. Hotel staff knocked on the door several times, but there was no response. And as the minutes ticked by, the atmosphere began to change, from uneasy to unsettling. Then an ear-piercing scream rang out, slicing through the night. It was followed by a deafening, unmistakable sound, a gunshot. The scream echoed in the empty halls, carried by the wind. A panic rippled through the resort. 911, what's your emergency? There's been a shooting at the hotel. Someone is hurt. There's blood everywhere. Stay calm. We're sending help right now. Can you tell me what happened? I don't know. I just heard a scream and then a gunshot. I'm scared. Moments later, the sound of sirens echoed through the resort. Police vehicles screeched to a halt outside the hotel, their flashing lights illuminating the dark night sky. Authorities arrived at the crime scene within minutes. What they found was nothing like they'd expected. The room was a picture of chaos. Blood soaked the bed, the white sheets stained with crimson. 2 shattered wine glasses lay next to a half-written note. Words unfinished, as if the writer had been interrupted mid-thought. The air was thick with tension, but the most shocking discovery came when they found Sarah Miller lying motionless on the floor, a single gunshot wound to her chest. Michael Thompson, her boyfriend, was still in the room. He stood at the edge of the bed, staring blankly, almost frozen in place, as if the horror around him hadn't fully set in yet. His eyes were wide, his hands trembling. He was in a state of shock, but his clothes were unruffled, and his demeanor was oddly calm for someone whose girlfriend had just been murdered. The room was a mess, papers scattered, a glass of wine spilled, the remnants of a romantic evening torn apart by violence. But there was something more, something that caught the attention of the detectives immediately. First, there was the gun, a handgun registered to Michael Thompson. It was found on the floor next to Sarah's body, the cold metal of it gleaming in the dim light of the room. But there were also signs of a struggle, scratches and bruises on Michael's arms, visible evidence of a physical confrontation. And that's when the first unsettling question arose. Was this a crime of passion, or was something else at play? Then there was the CCTV footage. Security cameras had captured something that no one had anticipated. A third person, someone completely unfamiliar, had entered their hotel room earlier that evening. The figure was seen entering and leaving the room without being detected by the couple or the staff. Who was this person? And why were they there? What seemed like a simple domestic dispute was now unraveling into something far more complicated. The evidence didn't match the narrative. Michael's gun was registered to him, but the bruises on his arms and the mysterious third person painted a different picture. Was this a planned murder? An act of self-defense? Or something darker? Something far more dangerous hiding in the shadows? The investigation had only just begun. But with each new discovery, the truth seemed further out of reach. In the hours following Sarah Miller's death, Michael Thompson's story remained unchanged. He insisted it was self-defense. A heated argument between the two of them had escalated. He claimed Sarah, in a fit of rage, had attacked him, striking him first. Fearing for his life, he said he grabbed his gun, the one registered in his name, and fired. He said he never wanted it to end like this. But there was one problem. Witnesses didn't back up his version of events. In fact, their accounts painted a very different picture. One neighbor described hearing only Michael's voice raised, shouting, not Sarah's. Another guest, who was staying in the adjacent room, said he heard the distinct sound of a loud argument, followed by silence. Then nothing. The story Michael told was beginning to unravel, but that wasn't the only revelation to come to light. When investigators turned to Sarah's phone, they uncovered something that sent a chill down their spines. Text messages. One, sent just hours before the fatal incident, read, "I know everything. We're done." The implications of that message were profound. Sarah had discovered something that had been hidden from her for weeks, if not months. She had found out about Michael's affair, and that revelation raised even more questions. Was Sarah's confrontation a result of betrayal? Had this crime been premeditated, fueled by a simmering rage? The detectives now faced a crucial dilemma. Was this a crime of passion, or had Michael planned the murder in cold blood? But there was more to uncover, something no one had anticipated. The mysterious third figure seen entering the hotel room. Who was he? Was he just a bystander, or was he involved? As the investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a stunning connection. The man caught on the security footage wasn't just some random guest or a stranger. He was someone from Sarah's past, a local bartender named Jason Carter, and he had more ties to her than anyone had realized. Jason wasn't just a passing acquaintance. He and Sarah had a history, one that Michael didn't know about. A secret relationship, one that had ended just before Sarah had met Michael. Could Jason have returned to finish what he started? Was this a case of jealousy, a love triangle gone horribly wrong? Was Sarah's past coming back to haunt her? With this new information, the investigation took a sharp turn. What seemed like a simple case of self-defense now had a web of betrayal, hidden motives, and new suspects. As the truth slowly began to surface, the question remained, who was really responsible for Sarah Miller's death? And what role did Michael Thompson play in all of this? Every new piece of evidence brought more confusion than clarity. With each revelation, the lines between victim and perpetrator blurred even more. What really happened that night? After weeks of investigation, the case of Sarah Miller's tragic death finally made its way to the courtroom. Michael Thompson stood trial for her murder, facing charges that could lead to a life sentence. The jury deliberated for days, sifting through the evidence, weighing the testimonies, and trying to determine what really happened that night. Was it a desperate act of self-defense, or was it a cold-blooded murder disguised as a defense gone wrong? The prosecution painted Michael as a man driven by jealousy and anger, fueled by the discovery of Sarah's infidelity. They argued that he had been planning her death for weeks, and that when things got heated during the argument, he took the opportunity to strike. The defense, on the other hand, argued that Michael acted out of fear of the woman he loved turning violent in a fit of rage. They claimed that in a moment of desperation, Michael did what he thought he had to in order to survive, that Sarah's threats were real, and that she had been the aggressor. As the days passed, the courtroom was filled with tension, with emotions running high on both sides. And then, after what felt like an eternity, the jury reached a verdict. The courtroom fell silent as the jury foreman stood and announced the decision. Michael Thompson was found guilty of second-degree murder. The room held its breath as the judge read the sentence, 25 years to life in prison. The shock waves reverberated through the courtroom. Michael's family sat in disbelief, while Sarah's family felt a strange mixture of sorrow and relief. But even as the gavel came down, questions still lingered in the air. Had justice been served? Was Michael truly guilty of murder, or had he been a victim of circumstance, caught in a moment of violence he couldn't control? What do you think? Was it self-defense? Or was this a crime driven by something far more calculated? Was Michael justified in his actions, or was there more to the story that the jury couldn't see? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're drawn to gripping true crime stories, Make sure to subscribe for more shocking cases like this one.